are not going to believe this. Labour are now literally falling asleep in meetings to discuss rape gangs. They clearly couldn't care less. In Rotherham, a town with one of the most prolific grooming gang problems in the entire country, Labour Councillor Alan Atkins decided that during a briefing on child sexual exploitation that he couldn't care less and he would just go for a little nap. He even reportedly was snoring loudly in the meeting for at least 2 minutes. I'm sure, Alan, that all of the young girls in Rotherham who have been raped and abused and ignored for years by your Labour Council are really happy to hear that you've got your priorities straight and you prioritise your sleep over their well-being. Lee Anderson said, "Imagine being a Labour councillor who turns up to a meeting on child exploitation and then falls asleep. Then imagine him giving the excuse below. Yes, this is exactly what he said. I put it down to my age and my weight. I have probably got sleep amnesia or something. If it hadn't been for the subject matter we were talking about, it wouldn't be a story. People fall asleep at work all the time, don't they?" This is absolutely pathetic, that rather than just being an honest, humble man and saying sorry, who comes out with this pathetic excuse. No, it's not normal, Alan, to fall asleep all the time at work. And do you really think that I'm going to let you off the hook because you've said, oh, if it wasn't for the subject matter, it wouldn't have been a story? Of course the subject matter is important. Do you think that it would be as much of an issue if you fell asleep during a Rotherham Council meeting on, let's say, the stationery budget of the council? Yes, it wouldn't be very professional. But do you not think that it is slightly more unacceptable to fall asleep during the meeting discussing one of the most pressing, if not the most pressing issue in Rotherham today? The child sexual exploitation, that is, the prolific grooming gang issue, which has gone on for years and your Labour Council has ignored because they A, couldn't be bothered, and B, were too scared to be called racist for pointing out the clear and obvious fact that it is predominantly Pakistani Muslims who are responsible for the grooming gangs. Now, the good news is that this Labour councillor has been suspended for his absolutely pathetic behaviour taking a nap during such an important meeting, but the bad news is that suspending him is not going to solve the problem. The Labour-run councils in places like Rotherham have ignored this issue for years and years, and now in Rochdale, a town which has similarly also had a horrific grooming gang problem, is having an upcoming by-election, and they don't seem to care about the issue either, because as we've seen in leaked communications about their candidate selection this weekend, their top priority is getting a candidate who can call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Yes, that's right, rather than actually being focused on solving the problems in your constituency, i.e. children being raped on a regular basis, you're focused on what's happening in wars abroad. And if that's not enough to convince you that Labour don't give a toss about what's happening in their own constituencies and care more about what's happening in wars abroad, remember what Tahir Ali said at PMQs last Wednesday.
Is it now not the time for the Prime Minister to admit that he has the blood of thousands of innocent people on his hands, and for him to commit to demanding an immediate ceasefire and an ending of UK's arms trade with Israel?
Mr. Speaker, that's the face of the changed Labour Party.
Yes, that's right. Rather than using the opportunity he had to ask the Prime Minister a question to focus on a pressing issue that was actually affecting his constituents, he decided to focus on attacking the PM for his stance on Gaza instead. The Labour Party need to get their priorities straight.
Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.